Hey guys, I promised I'd do these in June to some people. I've been busy with school and whatever. Just got around to doing this today. So yeah, I had, a list of things I had 3 things that I learned from this past year. The first of which I already mentioned in a previous video, which I actually did get the time to do. The second thing I learned this year was some teams just don't want to win. This was said on Wednesday at one of the seminars. You got to look at, teams got to look at, the goals that they have. But it was more evident to me. I saw it in practice on Saturday at championship. So I think a really good question, which should be asked when you are pit scouting, if you do pit scout. Some people think it's useless. I think it's more on a substantive level. More like on how announcers for NBA games or NFL games go talk to each player Thursday, Friday, Saturday before an event and get background information. I think it's useful to have that information ready so you know what to expect when you're with that team or against that team. But that's besides the point. One really good question when you're pit scouting would be, what are your realistic goals? Are your goals to complete one task every single time for consistency? For example, in breakaway it would be hanging, or in rack and roll in 2007 it would be placing the keeper in autonomous. Any of these types of goals, or like in overdrive in 08, you would want to place the ball on the top at the very end. Different teams have different goals. And this sure plays into strategies, but there are some teams out there. These are the teams that I respect the most. The teams that say, our realistic goal is to win the world championship at whatever cost. Those are teams whose number one priority is to win. Now, whatever they do below that is below that. So their philosophy is, if we want to win championship, we have to get to Einstein. We have to do good in our division. We have to win our division. To win our division and to make sure we win our division, we need to be picking. If we're going to be picking, we need to be the highest spot possible. To get to championship, we need to win a regional. To win a regional, same philosophy. We need to have the best robot on the field that can place number 1. That's the philosophy that needs to be employed. But some teams fail to do this, and this was, like I said, it was said on Wednesday, and I just took it, I took it normally, but I saw it in practice Saturday on Curie. There was a particular match where a certain team needed a certain amount of points, qualifying points to, virtually get an auto lock, and the other team having, I would say, 1 or 2 reasonable robots on their team, having a chance to possibly be picked, decided to play through the thing and compete. But if they would have just laid down, they would have given them a better chance to get to Einstein. It's just the teams just failed to look at the bigger. I think it's more not just the teams failed to look at a bigger picture, but the teams thought that they were out, so they said, we're going to compete the best we can. I always have this mentality where I'm like, I'm never done. I'm never out. I'm not playing for pride. I'm playing to win. I'm playing to have the best possible position out there. And like I said, some teams fail to recognize this. Some teams fail to have that philosophy where we need to win, win, win. And that's our only priority. Our first priority is to win our matches. And then we can worry about the little things. And that's where strategy comes into play. That's where everything comes into play. That's where these teams are elite teams, because their first priority is to win. Yeah. I think that's pretty much my second point. I think I've reiterated my point enough. Some teams just don't win or refuse. It could be a monetary issue, but then you have those teams which are like, okay, with our budget, with whatever, we need to weigh our goals. So say we have an X amount of money compared to another team which has a Y amount of money. X amount of money may be a third as much, for example, to work on the robot or whatever. This team may come up with a completely different strategy than the team that has the Y budget, but they still get to the same place. They still win. You're able to do it. It's just a thing where it has to be reiterated throughout the season. The first thing you have to think of at kickoff is, how do I win this game? I mean, 469 had pretty much the best strategy this year, but their strategy pretty much led them to win. It relied on other people, but it said, what's the best way for us to win? And not what's the best way for us to be creative, but what's the best way for us to win? The best way for you to be creative, other teams tried doing it. Other teams didn't do that good at it. I'm sure 469 said, what's the best way for us to win? Because their thing was flawless. When you present yourself, you say, we need to be perfect, you're a perfectionist, you're going to make it as close to perfect as possible, as close to automatic as possible. And that's what elite teams do, and some teams who don't really show that they want to win fail to show it. So yeah, that's my second point.